I have to wait a few minutes before my subscribers are here. Then I'll start explaining. All right. So, dear viewers, this lesson is based on IELTS exam. Is information and strategies. I'll start describing in a moment. So, bear me a moment, please, because what happens basically, once I start discussing if somebody joins, then I'll have to restart, but which I don't want to. Okay, so bear me a moment, please, before I go for the explanation.
Jericho, Jericho,
Okay, so you guys are here for the IELTS exam. So, IELTS exam, International English Language Testing System. Why IELTS? IELTS is needed for English-speaking countries, academic studies, training, registration, scholarships, immigration, work permit to assess your quality. Which countries need IELTS? Usually USA, Canada, UK, some EU countries, Australia, New Zealand. And sometimes some other countries where you're applying for scholarship or for a training. Who can sit for the IELTS exam? Anyone can sit for the IELTS exam who is 18 or above. How long is the validity of IELTS certificate? It's only 2 years from the date of the exam. Is there a pass or fail marks? No, there is no pass or fail marks. It is an assessment of your English level, and being the score 1 is the lowest and 9 is the highest. How can I register? By calling them, visiting their office, online form, pay the appropriate fees. How many types of IELTS are there? At the moment, 2 types. IELTS UK, Cambridge and British Council, IELTS IDP, Australia. Second one. Are they same? Yes, their qualities are same. How much is the fee? Generally for academic and general test, 175 to 195. There is another IELTS for UK VI, which is needed for the spouse visa. That's cheaper and that's easier. How many times you can sit for the IELTS? As many times as you want, but monthly once. Which country offers it? At the moment, 140 countries, including territories. Test format. So IELTS exam, there are 4 sections: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. And there are 2 different types of IELTS modules: academic and general. And also it is offered through different ways: paper-based, PBT, and CBT. So which means paper-based test and computer-based test. The speaking and listening tests are same. In both modules, but the reading and writing tests are different. So academic module, Choose this if you wish to study at undergraduate, graduate, postgraduate levels, or if you're seeking professional registration like doctors, nurses, pharmacists. Okay. General training. Choose this if you wish to migrate to an English-speaking country like Australia, Canada, New Zealand, UK, or sometimes some European countries. Or if you wish to train or study at below degree level. What's in the exam? As it says, paper content time, listening, comprehension, 40 questions, approximately 30 minutes, plus 10 minutes you'll get extra time to transfer your answer. Reading, 40 questions, 60 minutes. Writing, 2 tasks, total 60 minutes. Speaking, 3 parts, task 1, task 2, task 3. Altogether 15 to 20 minutes depending upon your answer. So IELTS academic reading, writing, listening and speaking. And IELTS general reading, writing, listening and speaking. There is a band descriptors paper. These letters are so tiny that I can't read it clearly. Speaking tips. Okay, so as you might be aware that each and every university has a requirement when you're sitting for the IELTS exam. If you're studying for the academic purpose, it's better always contact them. If you are planning to study in a university, foreign university, more specifically English university, it's better for you to contact them directly and find out the requirement. Most of the cases it is written on the website, university website, I mean to say, how much score is needed. But generally, for the undergraduate level, it is in between 5 to 5.5. For the graduate level, it is 6, sometimes 6.5, depending on the quality of the university. For the postgraduate, 6.5 to 7, but in some cases, they might ask you 7.5. But for the scholarship, training, registration, most of the cases 7.5 in academic. But only in Australia you need 8.5 if you want to apply for a passport, Australian passport. But for the UK settlement, which is called UK VI, that's a different kinds of test, and that's very easy for the spouse. Spouse means, I mean to say, the immigrants dependent category who would like to come to this country as their partner. And even you may be aware that United Kingdom is normal part of the European Union, so the people from Europe can't come and join those jobs where you need to sit for IELTS exam. Like previously, healthcare professionals could come here and register and work there. After the separation, after the Brexit, government has changed the rules now. Europeans must sit for the IELTS exam in healthcare sectors, especially doctors, pharmacists, nurses, and many other professions, and get good score to register, in their relevant fields. And they need 7 in academic. I have met many European pharmacists in this country who couldn't register because of their language requirement certificate. They know that they can't have the 7 score in IELTS academic, and they couldn't really register there. Okay, so as you might be aware, listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Today we're going to talk about a little bit speaking tips. And IELTS exam. Uh, Speaking generally takes place either at the beginning or a separate day of the test, or maybe another day. It depends on the test center's uh, requirement or the staff. So we'll come back to fluency. How the marking is going on an IELTS exam. So let me show you that. So as you can see, in speaking tasks, there are 4 criteria where the marks are nominated. And the first criterion is fluency and coherence, 25%. Second criterion is lexical resources, 25%. And next one is grammatical range and accuracy, 25%. And the next one is pronunciation, 25%. As you might be aware that there is no marks for accent. Sometimes people are crazy about the accent and they like to develop it. Remember that in IELTS exam, it is the pronunciation that matters, not the accent at all. And if you don't know how to pronounce the word correctly, most probably your accent wouldn't be correct either. So what is the accent? Pronunciation is, as you might be aware, there are 2 types of pronunciation in the world: British IPA and American IPA. And more or less they're same, except some vowel sounds, letter R, letter T, and many other expressions, spellings, as well as shorter vowel, longer vowel, diphthongs. And you see, these are the differences. Now we are going to describe briefly what do you understand by fluency and coherence. Okay, fluency and coherence refers to the ability to talk with normal levels of continuity, rate, and effort to link ideas and language together to form coherent, connected speech. The key indicators of the fluency are speech rate and speech continuity. Okay, please remember and bear in mind that when an examiner is assessing your fluency, it is only your speaking rate, okay, or continuity. Fluency is also related to talk about the topic without stopping, without being repetitive, without being hesitation or any, or what should say, I say any gap. There must be little gap, but not full gap of more than 5 seconds. And how we can develop it. So these are the tips. Uh, Bear in mind that there viewers that fluency totally depends on the individual candidate how they want to develop and achieve it. And that's a very common questions for English learners. They teach I'm not fluent. I don't know the vocabs. I don't know grammar. My pronunciations are is bad. But by practicing a lot, you can always, remove those difficulties. You can always be successful. So here, practice is the key factor, and you must, practice every day, like the way we drink water, eat food, and go to sleep. Okay, so these are some of the tips for the fluency. Use grammar. Okay, use correct grammar. That's the part of the fluency as well. Clarity. Do not mumble. Okay. For the grammar, let me explain briefly. So in IELTS exam, except the actually all of the parts, task 1, task 2, and task 3, you'll find there is a question pattern. And if you understand the pattern or the form of the question or sentence, it will be easier for you to understand. Say, for instance, you have been asked a question in past tense. When you are answering, you must answer it in past tense. And do not try to use present tense in that case. Okay, and as I said, if it is asked in present tense, you can use present tense and past tense and future tense depending on the context or the thoughts you're bringing in the question. If the question is a future tense, definitely have the answer in the future tense. Number 3 is accuracy. Focus on clear grammar again and precision. Do not try to use new words or phrases you're not sure of. So what happens basically, I've seen quite a few times, many of our learners, uh, they try to use new words and they don't know whether the words are really related to the question or the sentence or not. It is really a crucial factor for all of our learners to know how they can use a word correctly in contextual basis. Now you have learned a word but you don't know how to use it, or you have learned a new word and you're using it but you don't know whether it is meaningful or not. Okay, so that is the explanation of this. Number 4, self correction. What it means, guys, it means that when you are making mistakes, well, is you've got the opportunity to correct by yourself as long as you are aware of it. But if you're not, that is the challenging part. If you don't know how to correct the grammar by yourself, then it will be better for you to take a lesson from a qualified and competent teacher who can help you explain, who can help you giving all the elaboration of any grammar rules through which you can develop your grammar. Number 5, talk loudly. Talk loud enough so that examiner can hear you assess you. Guys, remember that if you don't talk loudly and clearly, if the examiner can't hear you, there is no way the examiner can assess your English. By listening to your conversation is the only way a teacher can assess your speaking techniques. Number 6, do not speak too fast or too slow. What it means, I've noticed many times Our learners have a trend to speak so fast, also and vice versa, so slow as well. But do not be too slow, too fast. So there is a rate, there is a speed. Maintain it in average rate, moderate speed. Okay, and number 7 is maintain 3 to 5 seconds gap. What does it mean, guys? That is an amazing information. It means that when you're having conversation or answering the questions, you must not give pause or break 3 to 5 seconds from one word to another. And now, what happens if you give a pause or break? You'll not be, assessed as fluent. This is the negative impact. Be confident and positive. Please bear in mind that even if you're making mistake, but be confident. And always bring the thought that, yeah, you can do it. Being positive is sometimes, psychologically affect your um, strong mentality to talk in English. Do not be repetitive. What does it mean? So very often many of our learners use one or two feelers at the beginning of every answer, like well, or you know what, or they use some other kinds of feelers. Actually, like I had a student when I took the assessment, and the student used 13 times actually in 1 minute, which is really not good. Remember that if you have to use the same word again, you should use the synonyms, which is why we need to know the vocabs. Okay. So, for example, if you had to use the word beautiful, like it's a beautiful day, now you need to use the beautiful again, and then we need to find out alternative or synonyms of beautiful, like pretty, charming, amazing, cool, etc. Number 10, using different kinds of vocabulary. I explained already earlier that if you know lots of vocabulary, but you don't know how to use them, don't try to use an IELTS exam. And also don't try to use even normal conversation with other people. We have to also remember that there is no end of learning. Knowledge is like a power or light. Okay, number 11. Make it personal. When you're giving the example, give a personal example. Okay, if I would like to be specific about this elaboration of number 11, that when you're trying to give an example, like, oh, like in my childhood, for example, you can say I was a bit lazy, but I'm not anymore. As you can see, this is just an example. Similarly, in IELTS exam, when you need to give an example, or let's make it your own personal example. Do not bring someone else's matter. It's not a good idea. Make it interesting. Explain it in an interesting way. So when we are having conversation, make sure you answer it in an interesting way. Okay, number 13, stick to the point. Yes, that is another important factor. And I've seen many of our candidates when they start speaking, they go away from the main topic, which is not honestly a good idea. Always remember, when you have been asked to describe a topic, focus on the topic and share and give the examples only related to the topic. Now, someone said that in my other class that, what if teacher I can't, uh, you know, I can't find how to talk about the topic. Maybe I know a few hookups. What would happen? My suggestion would be that's why we need to study more a little bit. I know synonyms, antonyms, those lexical resources, phrasal verbs that we don't in writing but speaking, and sometimes dialect can be used in speaking too. Okay, number 14, talk as much as you can. What it means, remember that, and especially this rule is applicable for Q card because in IELTS 1, task 1 and task 3, for every question you won't get more than 20 to 30 seconds. So you have to prepare in such a way you can answer this in 20 to 30 seconds for each and every question. Okay, number 14 is talk as much as you can. As I said, it's applicable for Q card. Speak naturally, follow the pronunciation techniques, and speak articulately. This is very important in IELTS exam, and even if you real life exam, job interview, or any other conversation. When you're talking, just use your natural tone. You don't have to have an accent. And many cases, it's found that students ended up having a fake accent because they don't know how to even pronounce it correctly. Okay. So don't worry about the accent. Develop your pronunciation. Try to know the rules how A can be pronounced. For example, letter A has 9 different sounds depending on the formation and spelling. Okay, number 16 is use correct context, collocation, and connotation. You know, guys, already what is context, or what is the main theme. So when you're giving example or trying to answer in a better way, follow this context. Then collocation. What is collocation, guys? Collocation, I should take one lesson about collocation on the public live stream lesson here. Collocation is the natural way to get second word in a pair of words. Excuse me. Like, listen to, okay, subscribe to, um, accustomed to, then I'm trying to remember some collocation, with a view to, and also some single word collocations like roar. Okay, roar. So we can use this word like animals roar. Animals do not shout, humans shout. Number 17, use compound and complex sentence. This is really very important for you to understand. Compound sentence. So if you know how to create compound sentences in general or normal statement, we use one subject, one verb. But with detailing for compound sentences, there should be at least two subjects, two verbs obviously, two different ways of the formation of the sentences. Okay, and we always use the coordination conjunction fanboys, where F stands for, A for and, N for no, B for but, O for or, Y for yet, and S for so. Okay. I'm trying to find it more simple. No, there isn't. So let's go back to the cue card section where we were given a little bit details. Before that, I'd like to play a short video about the speaking task clarification. So let's start with fluency. You need to know and understand and listen to this tiny video.
So, you've decided to take the IELTS exam. Congratulations! Success starts with IELTS. The speaking test is divided into 3 sections. Part 1 is the introduction and general questions. Part 2 is the long turn. And Part 3 is an analytical discussion. It's important to understand the criteria on which you will be tested in the IELTS exam. First, we consider the criteria of fluency and coherence. This is one of 4 criteria on which you will be tested. We'll cover the other 3 in later videos. Fluency and coherence refer to your ability to speak at length, including organizing ideas logically and appropriately signposting. It also refers to your ability to express and justify opinions and to discuss and speculate about issues without long pauses or repetition of the same words. Signposting is the use of words or phrases that indicate the direction of your thoughts. We will give you some examples of this in a moment. Many students try memorizing large portions of speech to repeat during the speaking test, but this can add unnecessary stress and sound unnatural. We don't recommend this approach. Here are a few tips to improve your speaking test performance. As you are speaking about a topic, build on your point of view by adding a few details. For example, if the question is, "What do you do?" rather than responding with, "I am a teacher," you might expand this to, "I have been a high school mathematics teacher in New York for over 5 years." For part 2 of the test, use the bullet points on the task card to help you structure your long turn and make notes in the 1 minute that's given using key words. In part 3 particularly, it is important to develop your answers and to speak at length. You can do this by thinking of reasons, effects, comparisons, supporting examples, and personal experience. Just make sure you are signposting what you say. For example, discussing excessive TV watching, you might mention reasons, increasing numbers of TV channels compared to a generation ago, and the popularity of TV characters. Effects, increasing obesity levels, eyesight problems, and other health issues. Experience, my nephew watches nothing except cartoons. He will not study. Here are some examples of signposting for part 3 of the test. Compare, contrast. In my view, there are two main differences. Responding to a point. Yes, I agree because, or I'm not sure I agree with that. You see, speculating on the future. I think we'll probably see a lot of, or maybe there'll be more, or it's unlikely that we will have. Practice is the key to increasing your fluency. There are no shortcuts. Practice using English in everyday communication as much as you can. Record yourself talking about different subjects. Then play it back and listen for linking expressions, hesitation, words you may be repeating, and times when your speech is slow. This will help improve your fluency. The assessment criteria is the only thing on which you will be tested. You will not be assessed on your appearance, body language while speaking in the exam, or your creative ideas. IELTS examiners are very consistent with their application of the IELTS assessment criteria. It is the same assessment given everywhere in the country and everywhere in the world. For more information, please see the other speaking test videos, lexical resources, grammatical range and accuracy, and pronunciation.
Okay, let's go to the lexical resources. These all are interconnected.
So, you've decided to take the IELTS exam. Great choice. It's the test that opens doors around the world. Here, we look at the criteria of lexical resource. This is one of 4 criteria on which we will be tested. Look for the other 3 criteria in other videos. Lexical resource focuses on the range of vocabulary a candidate uses. The wider the range, the better you will score. You will need to understand these factors to score well on the test. The ability to use vocabulary effectively, including the right collocation, that is, words naturally used together. For instance, lions roar. Lions do not shout. Alternatively, we make a phone call. We do not do a phone call. An awareness of connotation. This refers to the positive, neutral, or negative association some words have. For example, laid back, positive. Inactive, neutral. Lazy, negative. Slim, thin, skinny. The use of less common vocabulary or expressions. Many candidates memorize impressive lists of vocabulary, but often end up using them in the wrong way because they haven't understood them properly. To improve your vocabulary, we recommend these steps. Always try to learn new vocabulary when reading in English. Look out for new words. Seeing words in their context helps you learn the meaning, usage, and collocation. Online newspapers are a good resource. These can also help you keep up on the vocabulary of current affairs. Group new vocabulary into related subjects and learn these together, rather than making long lists of unrelated words. For example, make a list of words about sports. Using mind maps often helps with this. Learn more synonyms. These are words or expressions which have a similar meaning. Knowledge of synonyms will help with all parts of the IELTS test. Try using a thesaurus. Make small word cards, with the word written on one side of the card and the translation and an example sentence on the other side. You can then test yourself. Practice is the key. Not to memorize, but to practice discussing different topics, weaving in the vocabulary you have learned. Research shows practice improves test scores. Don't give up if you can't find the right word. Keep trying to explain what you mean, even if it takes a little longer. This is called paraphrasing. You will get credit for this. IELTS speaking tests include general everyday topics. Specialist knowledge isn't expected. The topics are relevant to all of the 135 countries in which IELTS is used. For more information, please see the other speaking test videos: fluency and coherence, grammatical range and accuracy, and pronunciation.
Okay, so that's the second video. The third video is speaking fluency, coherence, or speaking grammar.
So, you've decided to take the IELTS exam. Good for you. It's the test for study, work, and life. The IELTS speaking test is divided into 3 sections. Part 1 is an introduction and general questions. Part 2 is the long turn. And Part 3 is an analytical discussion. Here we look at the criteria of grammatical range and accuracy. Look for the other 3 criteria in other videos. This criteria focuses on the range and accuracy of the test taker's grammar while speaking. Look for our accompanying downloads for examples of the range of grammatical structure. The range of grammar includes using a variety of complex structures. These are sentences with multiple bits of information. Contrast that to separate, simple sentences with a single piece of information. For example, just beside the station was a stadium which was built in the 19th century and where games are now held every weekend. It isn't expected that candidates are 100% accurate. However, control is important. The Band 7 definition for grammatical range and accuracy says, frequently produces error-free sentences, though some grammatical mistakes persist. It's not just the number of grammatical mistakes, but also how seriously these mistakes block communication. To improve your grammar, take these steps. Be prepared. Make sure that you know the speaking test format and what type of questions to expect in each section. Many tasks in Part 2 of the IELTS speaking test relate to the past, so you most likely use past tenses. Ensure you know the past tenses of common verbs. Some questions in Part 3 ask you to speculate about the future, so use the right tenses in the answers to reflect this. Look out for the British Council's Johnny Grammar apps and videos that can help explain the commonly used tenses for you. Practice. Particularly think about the tenses you use. Ensure these relate to the questions. If the question asked is, what did you do at work today? The main word here is did, which is in the past tense, so your answer should be in the past tense too. For example, today I wrote a business brief. Don't worry if you realize you've made a mistake. It's okay to correct yourself. Record yourself speaking and listen to identify errors. IELTS results range from band scores of 1 to 9. However, there are not specific questions for different band scores, and there can't be, as the score isn't assigned until the end of the speaking test. Also, remember there are no quotas for IELTS band scores. Each individual is scored on their own merits. For more information, please see the other speaking test videos: fluency and coherence, lexical resource and accuracy, and pronunciation.
Alright guys, that will be the last video, speaking pronunciation.
test that's recognized and respected around the world. Here we will look at the criteria of pronunciation. This is one of 4 criteria on which you will be tested. Look for the other 3 criteria in other videos. This criteria focuses on the accuracy and variety of pronunciation features, which include individual sounds. The spelling of a word can sometimes confuse this. For example, euphemism. Word stress. Stressing the wrong syllable in a word is a frequent error. For instance, it should be mistake, democracy. Word stress can be confusing when it changes with different parts of a word family. For instance, photograph, photography, photographic. Sentence stress. For instance, the way that some words in a sentence are emphasized or slightly louder. For example, if I were you, I'd go by bus. Intonation. The pitch of your voice changing as you talk. Monotone intonation is typical of someone who has memorized long responses. This may result in lower test scores. Chunking. Talking in a rhythm which delivers chunks of words with short silences in between. Good public speakers often use this skill. To improve your pronunciation, we recommend these steps. The first step is to find out how English intonation, sentence stress, and rhythm differ from your native language. Ensure you understand the effect of sentence stress and intonation on meaning. Then practice using these in different ways. Refer to a dictionary to confirm the correct word stress if you are unsure. Listening to a variety of authentic English sources will help you become familiar with a range of pronunciation features. For instance, listen to the BBC Radio or the Voice of America in whatever subjects interest you. Even if you're not listening closely, having the radio or television on in the background can help attune you to the rhythm and intonation of another language. Don't rush when you speak. That's a common mistake. You might skip sounds or words. It's better to speak clearly. Recording yourself can be very useful. Try to apply what you've learned about the different features of pronunciation in English. Chunking is a particular skill you can develop by recording yourself. The face-to-face nature of the IELTS speaking test encourages you to develop the skills you will need to interact successfully with English speakers. For more information, please see the other speaking test videos, Fluency and Coherence, Lexical Resource, and Grammatical Range and Accuracy.
Okay, guys. So these are the 4 videos I always show to our candidates because this information is needed for you to understand how you can do well in the IELTS exam. You have to bear in mind that it is your responsibility to study more. The teacher can guide you, show you, and give all the information, all the techniques and tips, but at the end of the day, it's you who have to practice. At the end of the day, it is you who must plan and organize your time how you can practice more and get a required score. You might be also aware that there are many websites that offer free test or sample test, or sometimes we call it mock test. So visit these websites and register there. It's totally free. Okay, and be habituated to knowing how the exams papers can vary from one exam to another, and also how exam papers are set and how it looks like. All right, guys. So that will be the end of this today's lesson. Thank you very much for joining. If you're interested to sign up the free trial or a subscription, you are more than welcome. What you have to do, you have to click on the sign up button so that you can join my lesson. From the Hallo app now, there is an offer of 30% discount for all the lessons, even one-on-one, which is private, or any subscription or monthly class. I also suggest it's better for you to grab the opportunity so that you get the discount and you can practice with a qualified teacher. Please remember that practice is the key factor. It is said in almost every fourth section of the video. If you don't practice, there is no way you can develop. If you don't practice, there is no way you can move forward. If you don't practice, there is no way you can be, positive, energized, and motivated. All right, guys, and also uh, keep a notebook and just see your progress. And I'm sure you'll be able to find out your progress that you're really doing great. And sometimes, your own motivation, one inspiration is always your own, you know, uh, gravitational force, I should say, in physics. Thank you very much, guys.